Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Salamun Alaikum, and welcome to Suhoor Bites, where we take a few moments each morning to reflect on the wisdom of the Qur'an. In these blessed moments before dawn, as we nourish our bodies for the day of fasting ahead, let us also feed our souls with the light of divine guidance. Each day we will reflect on a verse from the Qur'an, drawing inspiration and lessons to carry with us throughout the day. The verse we're looking at today is verse 62 from Surah Yunus, where Allah says, أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Here Allah says, indeed, the friends of Allah, the awliya of Allah, there is no fear upon them, nor shall they grieve. The verse begins with a powerful declaration. أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ. Indeed, the friends of Allah. Now, who exactly are the friends of Allah? To understand this a little bit more, we should begin with the linguistic meaning of the word wali. Linguistically, wali means to place one thing next to another so close that there is no gap between the two items. From this, we get the meaning of closeness, nearness, and guardianship. So now, to understand this in context of the verse, a wali is someone who has reached such closeness to Allah that they are under His special care. They are as connected as possible. The term awliya tends to be translated as friends, awliya being the plural of wali. However, the meaning is much more deeper than simply being a friend. When you look at the different spiritual ranks that the Qur'an mentions, for example, Muslim, Mu'min, a Muhsin, a Muttaqi, an Abd, amongst the best ranks a person can attain is to be a Wali. And this term Wali represents essentially the pinnacle of spiritual closeness to Allah. Now the verse continues that these awliya Allah, these friends of Allah, they have reached such a status that something unique happens to them. لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. That they shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. And the Mufassirin have explored different ways in which these awliya Allah are now free from fear and grief. Some have said that the awliya of Allah will be free from fear and grief on the Day of Judgment and the Akhirah, because in this world their taqwa and their fear of Allah has got them to a position where Allah will protect them from the fright and the punishment of the hereafter. Others have said that this fear and grief which they shall be free from isn't purely to do with the hereafter. Rather, it is to do with this world as well. While fear and grief are normal emotions for most people, the awliya of Allah have reached a certain spiritual station where they are no longer affected by the emotions of fear and grief. Now, how so? How is it possible? Now, the scholars explain this by analyzing the root cause of fear and grief. And they say that fear and grief stem from our sense of attachment over things, whether it's our wealth, our family, our status, or even our life. We fear loss or harm when we consider these things as truly our own. And we get upset and grieve when something we love or something we are attached to is taken away, or something that we don't like comes our way. But when a person truly recognizes that nothing really belongs to them, that everything, including their very own existence, is owned by Allah, then there is nothing to fear about losing, and there's nothing to grieve over. Fear and sorrow only arise when the heart feels that it has attachment over something. So the wali, the friend of Allah, who has attained this wilaya, this spiritual closeness to Allah, sees the entire world, including their own self, as belonging entirely to Allah. They have no claim of ownership and no illusion of attachment. And because they have detached themselves from the world and everything in it, fear and grief therefore have no place in their heart. And instead of fear and grief, they experience a deep sense of peace and tranquility because they know deep down that everything belongs to Allah. Allah shall give as He please and take as He please. It is His decision over His creation. Now, what can we do to try to make ourselves like the awliya of Allah? What characteristics of theirs can we try to copy? Can we try to take inspiration from? Now, Hadith 432 of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha touches on certain characteristics of the awliya of Allah. Here the Imam puts out a number of different defining features. Firstly, the Imam says, they see beyond the surface of the world. The awliya of Allah are those who don't get distracted by the superficial glitter of this world. While most people get caught up in appearances, wealth, status, and material gain, the wali sees through the temporary and superficial nature of these things. Secondly, their hearts are focused on the hereafter, where most people chase instant gratification and material pleasure. The awliya focus on what is lasting and eternal. Their priorities are not shaped by what the world offers today, but by what will benefit them in the akhirah. And lastly, their relationship with the Qur'an is transformative and revolutionary. They are not only people who recite the Qur'an, they are the ones through whom the Qur'an lives. They understand it deeply, they act upon it sincerely, and their lives embody its teachings.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما تكون في شأن وما تتلو منه من قرآن ولا تعملون من عمل إلا كنا شهودا إذ تفيضون فيه وما يعزب عن ربك من مثقال ذرة في الأرض ولا في السماء ولا أصغر من ذلك ولا أكبر إلا في كتاب مبين ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون لهم البشرى في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة لا تبديل لكلمات الله ذلك هو